Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Here we're going back. Let me just close this a little bit so that it's not so glaring. The lighting over here. There we go. Good. Okay, that's a little better. Oh, so yesterday we're talking about now the giving of the Torah, and it says that when the Jewish people were at Sinai, so all of them said, "Nasav and Ishma, we will do whatever it says in the Torah." We didn't know what was written there. They said, we'll do whatever it says in the Torah, and then we will understand it. And the angels said, wow, this is amazing. Right? And that God said, this is amazing. Where did the Jewish people, my sons, where did they get this idea from? Where did they get this idea from? That only the angels know. Only the angels understand this idea. Where did they get this from? So good. So the Rebbe said, what's so amazing about what they did? They said, we will nasev and nishma, we will do and then we'll understand. What's so earth-shattering about that? That God himself was surprised. And he even called the Jews, my sons, my sons, my sons. If they're already a son, so what's so amazing that they want to do what God wants without asking? Okay. So the Rebbe said, let's understand, first of all, a little bit about the Torah and about the world. So explain that the world is a creation and how the world is created a little bit. And that the main point of the creation of the world is that God conceals it. The fact that he's creating the world, he conceals himself from the world. To the point that the angels are going berserk, they feel that they're being created and they can't understand how it's possible that God is creating them and that how God is so real and he's concealed even from the angels. And we don't even feel this. Okay. It says, but the fact of the matter is the Torah. The Torah, though, is like the lifeblood of the world. And more exactly, it's the lifeblood of the commandments. The commandments. The Jewish people were given by God himself, the essence of God, who's creating the world, who's hiding himself from the world, who's hiding himself from the world. That's the way God makes the world. He conceals himself. If God would reveal himself, then there wouldn't be any world, because God is too real. He's too real. God wants us to feel that we are the ultimate reality and to use this feeling to serve him, to realize that, number one, that we're wrong. We're not the ultimate reality. And number two, that we can feel what's right. We can feel the ultimate reality. And that's what God did when he gave the Torah. Now, there were spiritual people before the Torah was given. There was Sushelach, and there was Chanuch, it says, Chanuch. There was religious, spiritual people always existed. Spiritual, there's all these Eastern religions that talk about spirituality. Wonderful, wonderful. But that's not the purpose of why the world was created. They got the idea that you have to strip yourself of connection to the physical in order to get to the truth. But that's not the truth. That's approaching the truth. The truth is found only in this world. But they're right. You do have to strip yourself of your attachment to the physical world first. But the goal is not to be stripped from the physical world. That's just like cleaning your glasses. When you're cleaning your glasses, the goal is not to clean your glasses. The goal of cleaning your glasses is that you can see through it clearly. So getting rid of the false attachment to the physical world, that enables you to see what the truth is. What's the truth? The truth was what was given at the Torah. So when God gave the Torah, he gave himself. He gave true life. Oh, excuse me. So it says that the commandments are the limbs of God, and the Torah is the blood of God. Just like blood enlivens everything. Okay, that's what we said. Here we go. Here we go. This is okay. Okay, we're just making this is a summary of what we said yesterday. So it said, in the beginning, God created the world. The whole world was created. Rebbe explained how God hid his oneness, and the whole reason was for the Torah, that the Torah should reveal the truth in the world. That's the idea of the 248 limbs of the king. That's the commandments. Those are found in the physical world. Those are temporary. The commandments are under are part of the world. The commandments are part of the world. The commandments they're made from physical things, and they're also under limitations of time, right? Shabbat has to be kept only on Shabbat, Passover only on Passover, etc. But the Torah is eternal. The Torah is like the blood. That's like the soul. And the Torah, that's called Adam. Aleph, Dam. Aleph is the oneness of God, and Dam is blood. Blood revealed in the world. Let's got the pointer over here. Oh. Anyone who learns, and that's therefore it says, if you learn the Torah, the laws of the Torah, they are eternal. That doesn't depend on being the temple, the temple being here or the sacrifices being here. When you learn the laws of the sacrifices and you learn the laws of the temple, it's as though, not exactly the same thing, but it's as though you sacrifice the animal and etc. Okay, therefore, the Torah is more important than anything in the world. The Torah is the most important thing in the world, and the Torah is, let's make this bigger here. The Torah is not just a bunch of syllables and mantras and mystical words that you say. The Torah has to be understood. The Torah has to be understood. That's the commandment of learning Torah, and that's the most important commandment in the Torah, Talmud Torah. Okay, the whole purpose of learning Torah and the commandments is to draw God's will in the physical world and reveal God's will in the world. Huh? Again, just to repeat this, the world is very important to God. Usually people look at all the other religions, and especially most of the philosophies in the world, they just say that the world is basically meaningless. And the religions pretty much agree with them, but the religions just offer an alternative. You can go to the world to come, to heaven. But pretty much everyone agrees that the world is a big fake out. Pretty much. Not everyone. There are certain the philosophers and things like that, especially you can look at Professor Viktor Frankl, the things that he wrote. I read very extensively the writings of Viktor Frankl, and he says purposely he's leaving God out of his formula because he wants to be relevant even to non-religious people. And he says the world is very, very important, and the world is holds the secret of meaning. Maybe not absolute meaning, but the world, to be involved in the world, to go out of yourself, right? Even though you're going to live a certain amount of time, to be involved in the world. Okay, but that's very rare. He's very rare, and he's rejected by most of the other, by Freud and these other guys. But he's got a good point. His point is true. The world is very precious. And Judaism says that the world is infinitely important to God. Infinitely important. Infinitely important. Going to heaven is very nice, but that's not the goal. That's not the goal. That's like a stopover point, whatever. Okay. So we're talking about this physical world, doing the commandments in this physical world. To do these commandments, that's what it means that you should do the commandments in order to fear God. Okay, it says, Yiru et Hashem kadoshav. It says, should be afraid of God, his holy ones. Now again, fear can be a very, very good thing. A very good thing. Fear is the feeling of how precious life is. Okay, it can be misused. True, it can be misused. But still, people that don't have any fear have appreciation of life, so they're not afraid of hurting themselves, or harming other people. Right? So ideally, fear means that there's value. When something is valuable to you, you're afraid of losing it. Which, like we say, everything can be misused. You can have false fear. The whole world was just, it can really be misused. Like they just did with the corona thing, with global warming, and with overpopulation, and with all these things. This is improper fear. This is improper fear. This is fear that freezes you. But there's proper, healthy fear. And that's fear which directs you. It directs you to increase. If you're afraid, if you're afraid of damaging people, so you want to do as much as you can for good. A doctor is afraid of losing his patients. That's a good thing of his sick patients. He's afraid of losing them, so therefore he does everything he can to assure that there will be health in the world. That's our healthy fear. So it says, ideally, when we feel what God is, then we have a healthy fear of value of life, a value of reality, and especially a value of this physical world in a proper way. Not what it gives to us, but what it gives to God when we use it properly. That's what it says. Fear God, his holy ones. His holy ones. What are the holy ones? What is this holy ones? Only the holy ones should fear God. It says, another place it says, should fear God. The whole world should appreciate God. The whole world should be in awe of the Creator. I mean, that's pretty awesome. If there's a really true, there's really a Creator that's creating us. That's amazing, right? He's really creating us, and God really cares about us. We're really not alone. We're really infinitely important. It says, so that fear means appreciating, having awe of the Creator. So one place it says, who should have fear of God? His holy ones. Another place it says the whole world should be awe of God. That's something like it was in Noah's Ark. What happened in Noah's Ark? So that wild animals, they didn't eat each other. They were all pretty much satisfied in the ark. They didn't eat. Why wouldn't they eat each other? Because they felt God. They felt how precious life is, and they didn't want to destroy one another. The animals, huh? So that's the idea of a proper fear. The whole world should fear God. But another place it says, no, only the holy ones should fear God. What does it mean? It's like this. There's a sentence, ki lo machshavotay machshavotechem. It's a sentence that says, we read this in the Psalms, what it is. My thoughts are not like your thoughts. We see it in the fast days. It's from Jeremiah. God said, my thoughts are not like your thoughts. That in front of God, what are God's thoughts? If you look at the world from God's point of view, whatever is higher is more real. And what is below which is more involved in the creation, is less real. So God is the ultimate reality. Like it says, to give those who love me, yesh. In other words, those people who do what God wants, after they die, they see true reality. True reality. They leave the falseness of this world. They'll get a picture of what things are from God's point of view, how God is the ultimate reality. God is real. And the world is a fall, it's a fake out, it's all fall. Okay, which is not the case if you look at the world from below to above, from our point of view, from our thought. Then we are real. Everything which is below, which we can understand, which we can see, Ain Kol Basar, is called Yesh. That's called reality. L'gabi l'mayla mimenu. We are more real than the angels are. Do the angels really exist? Who says? What about God? God exists. Listen, I got big doubts about the angels that they exist. So what is higher is less real, and what's below is more real. That's from our point of view. That's the way God created it. But from God's point of view, what's above, that's reality. That's infinite existence. And by us, it's very finite and very small, weak type of reality. It's a created reality. So therefore, God's thoughts are whatever is higher is real, and what's not, what's below is unreal. It's ayin. From our point of view, what is by us is real, and what's higher is nothing. Why is it nothing? Because it ain't a musa veneer. We can't see it and we can't hear it. I can't understand it. That's what we have to do. What we want to do is draw down God's will below in the world, that below in this world, mamata lamaila, that this world should be like it is in the upper worlds. What does it mean? That this world we feel is real, but in fact, it's not really real. If you look at it from God's point of view, that's real reality. And the real reality of God, we want to make revealed here. What does that mean? The world is not created like by a sneeze of God or God accidentally just, doesn't care. He just created the world. It was just like a hobby that he had when he was like, little kids in kindergarten. They draw a picture, mommy, it's just a little stick and all this. So they save the picture. This is a picture I went through. That's what the world is. The world is just like a little thing that God just sort of, drew the world, and, it's not really, but he keeps it around as a remembrance, right? As remembrance. This is what he did. That's not so. The world is the essence of God. The essence of God's will is revealed in the world. It's really revealed. Well, it can be revealed. That's what the Torah is. The Torah reveals the essence of God in the world. The world is not just a meaningless picture or a meaningless bunch of chemical reactions or organic chemical reactions. Whatever. That's not. The world is infinitely real. That's what it means, to draw God's point of view into this world. That's what the Holy Temple was. You went to the Holy Temple, you got a glimpse of the world from God's point of view, how important infinitely this world is to God. So that's the whole purpose of what? Of drawing God down in the world, that they should be equal. A commotion, a mila, just like from above to below, the whole world is this whole, the concealment of this world doesn't exist by God. It's like nothing. Like it says, that greatness is to you, God. The command before God, everything is like nothing. So it will be from below to above. What that mean? Like in the Holy Temple, Ra'u kol basar, all flesh together will see God. That's what's going to be when Moshiach comes. The whole world will see and feel how infinitely precious every detail of this world is to God. It says, it says that those who don't want to see this revelation will hide themselves in the clefts of rocks, in holes in the ground, because of the fear of God. Suddenly, everyone will feel that what I thought was I was real, I was really very wrong. Liyot batal alav, to be totally surrendered to God. It's something like, let's say, the janitor in the king's palace. So he wants to show off to his wife or something. So he sits on the king's throne in the nighttime. He goes to this cleaning up. He sits on the king's throne and he says, "I am the king. I am the Lord." He starts to believe it, and all of a sudden the king comes in. Whoa! What are you doing? What are you saying? I thought I was the king. His wife said, "Oh, you're not the king? I thought you were the king." Right? The same thing. We think we're the king. We think we are God. In future, when God is revealed, we see what real reality is, and that we're just creations. Is then the whole world will be filled with a fear of God. Lord Buttle, everything will be totally negated to him. It's like the criminals when the police come in. Al derech similarly is also the difference. What it says, fear God, the whole world. This is a lower fear of God, and like it seems to us that we really exist, but God is really big. God is really big. But what does it mean? So we come to the conclusion that really maybe the way I feel is not right. Maybe I really am a creation. That's called the lower fear. That's what it means. The whole world will fear God. The whole world will come to realize that maybe the way I look at the world is not right. And I have to force myself to adapt to God's reality. But God is the real reality. That's called the whole world will fear God. That's the lower fear. But that what it says, fear God, Yiru et Hashem, the holy ones, that's what it says, Yiru et Hashem. Namely, that the whole world will be secondary to the name of God. And that's what's called like nothing. Yiru et Hashem. That will be totally like nothing compared to God. This is a different type of a fear. This is really experiencing looking at the world the way from God's point of view. That's like the tzaddikim. The big tzaddikim, they look at the world from God's point of view. In other words, every instant of life is an amazing, totally incomprehensible gift and miracle that God is creating me and everything in the world constantly from nothing. That's called the upper fear of God. That's what it means in Machzor Riyav. That's what it means. There is no lacking to those who fear him. What does it mean? Ayin, there is nothing. Ubitol, the ayin, the total surrender to God's reality, you feel that you are nothing, then those who fear God are machzor. It's like they're not even here. By means of this, in machzor, and by means of this, it's also the simple meaning, nothing is lacking to us. We're just thankful that God is creating us, which that's what everybody should feel, but we don't. We don't. How do we get to this level of fear and awe and appreciation of God and the depreciation of our own egotism, that we realize that we're fooling ourselves like the janitor in the king's palace? And this was called the upper fear. This is drawn down by learning the Torah. That's what it says. Ein chachma, ein yira. It says that there's no wisdom of the Torah, then there's no fear. There's no real appreciation of God. Like it says later on, that's what it means in the Maimer by Yedaber Elokim Anochi. That's what God did when Mount Sinai. It says when God gave the Torah at Mount Sinai, everyone's souls jumped out of their bodies. It says everybody died, and God enlivened them with this dew. That's what it means, fear God, his holy ones. This level of fear is drawn down by means of holiness. What's holiness? The commandments. When we make a commandment, when Jews do a commandment, they say a blessing beforehand. The blessing, they say, Asher Kidishanu, that you made us holy with your commandments. When God, with the commandments, you become holy. What does it mean? That's what it says, fear God, the holy ones. Holiness means that you attach, you are aware of a level of reality that's totally, totally above this world and is creating this world. And that is found in every commandment. Asher Kidishanu b'mitzvotav, that God made us holy with his commandments. That's what it means. V'tzivanu liyiras Hashem. You commanded us. The word tzivanu also means you connected us to actually have true fear and appreciation of the essence of God. In other words, we really don't exist. God is creating us brand new every instant. Every instant is a total amazing miracle. No instant depends on the instant before it. Our existence does not depend on anything physical or even spiritual. Our existence depends only on the Creator. I'm not alive now because I was alive a second ago. A second ago and right now are totally unique, but God is doing all the creation all the time. So we can rely on God. That's called genuine fear of God. I don't really exist. I am an amazing miracle gift of the creator of the universe, showing how much God loves me, creating me. This is what's called the upper fear. This level of fear, this level of fear of God. 1 minute. Let's get this in. Too much. This is good. This fear, the Gedula, this Yira Gedol, this big fear, this is the revelation of God's will with a tremendous power. That's what happened when God gave the Torah on Mount Sinai. Therefore, when God gave the Torah on Mount Sinai, even though what he gave were very simple things, I am God that took you out of Egypt. Believe in God. Don't worship any other gods. Means idolatry. Don't do it. Right? Don't take God's name in vain. That's not so difficult. Right? Don't take that God. Don't make any statues. Don't take God's name in vain. Those things are pretty simple, right? Honor your mother and father. Keep the Shabbos. Keep the Shabbat. Honor your mother and father. These things are pretty simple things. All right, keeping the Shabbat is very complicated, but from the 10 Commandments, you wouldn't know that. Now, in any case, it's not very mystical, not very spiritual. Don't kill, don't steal, don't be licentious, don't take false witness. These things are very simple things that God said. So that's the question the Rebbe asked in the beginning. But the fact is, it doesn't make any difference what God said. The fact that God spoke, even if God wouldn't have said anything. We say in Kila Olam Chazdo, Im Hikrivana Lifnei Har Sinai V'lo Natan Lanu Et Torah. If you would have just brought us to Mount Sinai, we would have felt the essence of God. It healed, it says, all the sick, it made all the blind be able to see. Even if God didn't say anything, it would have been enough. Just the fact that we know that we're chosen by God. And before that, we did have a few commandments. There were a few commandments that the Jews had. Right? When they left Egypt, they had circumcision, they had but the idea is that when God spoke and he told the Jews that he wants something special from them, from his essence, so the Jews felt where these commandments are coming from. That's the point of Mount Sinai. When God gave the Torah, he gave himself. Before that, they knew that there were commandments, but they didn't feel the essential immediate connection between the commandments and the commander. They didn't feel the infinitely deep connection between the commandments and reality. That the whole world exists for the sake of the commandments. The commandments are not just one little detail. That's what it says on every word that God spoke. Parcha nishmatam, their soul jumped out of their bodies. On until the rabbis say, Shapaska Zuhuma, there was no more death in the world. It said that the letters were carved into the tablets. Don't just say that they were carved, but cherut, it brought freedom. What does it mean, freedom? Freedom from the angel of death. And freedom from any, how do you say, subservience to the falseness of the world. That lasted for 40 days until the Jews sinned with the golden calf. But the point is that when God revealed himself on Mount Sinai, he revealed the essence of reality. There was no more death. There was no more evil. Nothing more valuable than that. There was pure life, pure connection to the Creator. Okay, and therefore, now, since we did sin with the golden calf and death was brought back into the world, so, and God is not going to reveal himself again like he did back then until Moshiach comes. Now, what do we have to do? We have to work. We have to work little by little. Like it says, Me'at matar grashenu. Little by little, we can drive away badness. So what's going on over here? We have the Torah. We have the same Torah that God gave in Mount Sinai, the exact same Torah. But when God gave the Torah, it was a tremendous revelation of truth and reality in the world. But it stopped. As soon as the Jewish people worshiped the golden calf, it stopped. And God knew it was going to stop. This oneness of God and revelation of the truth was very, very fragile. Why was it so fragile? Because the Jewish people didn't know what to do with it. When it depended on God, so God can do anything. But when it depended on the Jewish people said, hey, well, we're not God. I mean, we can't. Oh, you're not God? You just, a couple of minutes ago, you thought you were God. You thought you were the creator of the world. Yeah, but at Mount Sinai, I saw it was a mistake, okay? So I realized that I'm not the creator and God is the creator and that God gave the commandments. I realized that and that's it. Right? And as soon as they thought Moses wasn't going to come back down, And Moses was there to remind them of what the truth is. 40 days after the Torah was given on Sinai, Moses was coming down with the tablets, and they thought that Moses was not coming down. They made a mistake in the calculations. As all of a sudden they reverted back to their original egotism and said, what are we going to do? Where's God? Maybe there is no God. Maybe I'm God. Maybe I'm reality. And suddenly everything just flipped back to, like I said, black and white, right? Everything was one-dimensional. All there is me and the world. And of course, God is also somewhere over there. So now, but we have the Torah, and we have that revelation on Mount Sinai, just 40 days before. Don't you remember? I do remember, but that was in the past. And what's in the present is me. So therefore, the Jewish people, in order to make that presence of God, which was on Mount Sinai, to reveal that right now, that that's the real me, so we have to work. The Torah, now we have to work. We have to try to embody everything that says in the Torah. And this is the whole idea of giving of the Torah to the Jewish people at the time when the Torah was given. Even though that it says that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob also, they did the whole Torah. But like it says by Abraham, that Yishmor Mishmarti, that Abraham will do my laws, they're called my commandments. But they were called Mishmarti. They're called, God sort of kept them for himself. It wasn't yet given to shine up the world. It was given privately to Abraham. Abraham reached that level that he realized what God had in store for the Jewish people, but it wasn't given yet. It wasn't given to the Jewish people by God with a tremendous revelation at Mount Sinai. And that's the whole thing of Mount Sinai, to show us what God can do. And when God gave the Torah, he spoke, don't kill, don't steal. There was drawn down infinite life, infinite power, God's will, below even in these lowest disgusting things of murder and being licentious and stealing, kidnapping. That's the idea of what it means. So physically, don't kill means don't kill people. You're not allowed to kill people. Okay, listen, everything that's in the Torah is only a code. The simple meaning is there, but it has to be explained. It has to be explained. Here's an example. Don't kill. Means you can't kill at all. You can't kill bacteria. You can't kill insects. Maybe you can't kill your enemy. But in the Torah itself, it says that if there's all these death punishments, a person doesn't keep Shabbat, his punishment is death. A person that worships idols, his punishment is death. And it says that Moses led the Jewish people into battles. They killed so many of the Midianites. They killed. So what does it mean you're not supposed to kill? You're not supposed to kill at all. Who are you not supposed to kill? It's not so clear. But nevertheless, the fact is the Torah does deal with this disgusting topic of not God himself. Deals with, now, all the societies in the world, as far as I know, they have a prohibition of not killing. At least not to kill members of our tribe, or for no reason. Right? In Nazi Germany and communist Russia, that they were killing people like flies. But nevertheless, you weren't allowed to kill your commander. You weren't allowed to kill Stalin. So there was always some sort of you can't kill your next door neighbor just because you don't like him. So you can always come to the conclusion not to kill. But here, so it's a very, very simple, mundane, crass thing not to kill. But when God gave it on the Torah, suddenly everyone knew that God himself exists, God himself cares, and God reveals himself. God revealed, that's the idea of not killing. So therefore, it must be very deep. So in addition to the simple meaning, don't kill, it also means, shofech dam adam ba'adam yishafech. God said to Noah, when Noah got out of the ark, Noah was not a Jew. Noah, it says, that's one of the 7 Noahide commandments, by the way. Not because it says in the 10 commandments. It happens to be one of the 7. It says, God commanded Noah that don't kill people. Why? Because if you spill the blood of man, then your blood will be spilled. What is this man? God made bad opposite good. God wants there to be bad also. He doesn't want us to use this bad, to activate the bad, but he wants there to be such a thing. He wants there to be such a thing. Just like you're driving your car, right? So there's two lanes. So why make two lanes? Make everything one lane, right? But if there's two lanes, it's dangerous. You can drive in the wrong lane. You can get killed. So that's good. It's good that there's two lanes. First of all, people can go in opposite direction. And number two, that you have to control yourself. You have to control yourself. Just to do whatever you want. To learn that you have to control yourself. And then when you control yourself, then that benefits everybody. Then other people can drive the opposite direction. Huh? So the same thing in the world. There has to be good and there has to be bad. But bad has to be only in potential. Right? The wrong side of the road is there. Potentially, it's the wrong side. You should just don't use it. Don't activate it. Don't crash into somebody. So therefore, it says God made everything in the world that's good. He made something bad also. There's what's called Adam Bilial, a man without any yoke. Bilial, it says. That's Hayetzer Hara. God made what's called the evil impulse, also known as the angel of death. This is opposite the man of holiness, the man sitting on the throne that Isaiah saw. Right? The Jewish people, they rose up in God's thought. Therefore, the Jewish people, they cause, by means of their sins, in action, in speech, even in thought, they spill the blood of the holy man, the Adam of Kedusha. And they spill it into, they give power to the man of evil. So when the Jewish people don't do what they're supposed to, they give power to the evil man driving on the wrong side of the street. The Cain al-Dirk says, so it is also in the other sins. Lo tinaf, don't be licentious. There essentially it means not to take other people's wives, but some people say it means all sexual deviations. Shalo yigromu shefa, don't give any blessings or power to chitzonim, to the external forces. Don't waste holy energy on unholy things. V'chein lo tignov, also don't steal. Shmira v'zihirut mitzviut v'piniut. This means keeping yourself away from lying and flattering and, how do you say, deception. When God gave the Torah, Hadibur ba'atzmo, God himself said, don't kill, don't steal. That these things of stealing and thievery should not be in the world. Shouldn't be here. If the Jewish people don't steal and they don't kill, then that will eliminate the urge to steal and kill in the whole world. In the future, future tense and imperative tense. And that's what it says in English. Imperative, both of them are mishtamshim b'lashon echad. In Hebrew, to use imperative, you must do this, is the same exact conjugation, it's called, whatever it is. Same, you lose the same exact letters as to say you will do this, like a promise. Like, for instance, ve'ahavta et Hashem lechecha means you must love God, and it means you will God. You will love God. So there, what it says in the 10 Commandments, don't kill, don't steal, it means it's a promise. You won't kill, you won't steal. It's a promise. But after the sin, the Jewish people sin with the golden calf, then we don't feel God anymore. Now you have to command, you have to force yourself. This is by means of, we have to speak, we have to say the words of Torah. By means of this, we draw the blessing down in the world. We make assurance that there won't be any stealing, there won't be any thievery in the world. That's why the Torah is called the tree of life. The tree of life for those who hold on it. And the truth that's the written Torah, the 5 books of Moses. But the explanation of the Torah, that's called the tree of good and evil. Why? Because the Talmud is what separates good from evil. Like, for instance, when you read the Talmud and you learn the laws of what is unkosher, like in the Torah, it says you shouldn't eat a unkosher animal, but it doesn't say what that is, right? An animal that has a hole in its food, in its trachea, that animal is not kosher. But an animal that has a hole in its windpipe is kosher. If it's a small hole in the trachea, where does it say that in the Torah? An animal that has a small, tiny hole in its lung or in its stomach is not kosher. If there's a small, tiny hole in your eye or something, it's kosher, right? How could it possibly be? It says that when you learn in the Talmud what's kosher and what's not kosher, then it makes a birur. Then it refines the world between what is pure, what's impure, and it separates all the bad from the good. That's what we have to do now, is to make the separation until the days of the Mashiach. When Mashiach comes, then all of the Jews, he'll make all the Jews come back to the Torah and the commandments. Then there won't be any more evil or destruction or death or sin in the world. It says, then God and his name will be one. In other words, what the upper way of God's looking at the world will be revealed to everyone here in the world. Will see the world how God sees the world. That's the commandment of going to the Holy Temple. Riyah, Yira Kol Zechurcha, people went to the Holy Temple in the same way that they were seen at the Holy Temple. God, they saw at the Holy Temple. Just like God saw them come to the Holy Temple, they also saw God in the Holy Temple. That's something like it's going to be in the future. What does it mean? Just like from above to below, everything is really nothing. From God's point of view, everything is a big miracle. We don't feel this miracle, but in the future, it will be that. We'll feel from below to above, we'll feel that everything is a big miracle. That's what it says, eye to eye, you will see. They will see in your eye, just like it was in Mount Sinai. As we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow.